What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it is time for another AFL26 video. There's going to be quite a few of those because this is going to be a very rapid run-up till launch. Yesterday, I recorded a video that went live at 4 o'clock that was me talking about the ratings board revelation that AFL26 was a thing, and I was speculating on when. Only 2 hours later, the game to be formally announced and the release date to be announced. Now, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the features in the game and a whole lot more in this video. But before we get to all of that, let's take a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, let's talk about the game a little bit. Boom. JB Hi-Fi has the listing. Expect it to go live at EB Games and other retailers in the imminent future, if it hasn't already by the time this video goes live. But there it is. AFL26 revealed for Xbox Series, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Regular retail price of $89. Let's jump in and look at the listing here. Of course, it's going to be the same for all three consoles. And you can quickly flick at JB. Yeah, get out of here, Perks. You can quickly flick between all those platforms and get all the same information. But you can see our cover art. We've got Cripper, of course. Now, let's not lose sight of the fact that, of course, Ross Simmons, the head of Big Ant Studios, is a massive Carlton fan. If you look at any footage from any game that's played at Carlton, you'll notice Big Ant logos stretched all over the ground. He loves them, and it's not at all surprising. Now, admittedly, Cripper was a Brownlow medalist, and so it's not like it's unwarranted for him to be there. But I suspect there's a little bit of Ross's personal preferences kicking in. We also have Ebony Marinoff from the Adelaide Crows there on the women's side, who is also represented on the front cover. Fantastic to see. Now, let's kind of pick through some of the details here. We have a tiny little screenshot here available. There's also a tiny little trailer that I have seen. I need to be able to find it again. I don't know where that's gone. I might try and dig that one up in the meantime. But what we want to focus on here are some of the key details. And this is the description that is officially presented by Big Ant, the team responsible for the game. Footy redefined. Get ready for the future of footy with AFL26. Feel every hit, hear every roar, and live every moment with unmatched authenticity and intensity. From the first bounce to the final siren, the action is fast, fierce, and true to the game. With lifelike gameplay, roaring crowds, expert commentary, and all the drama of the real AFL, you're not just watching the game, you're in it. This is footy redefined. Now, obviously, that's a nice top-level, puff piece sort of pitch, but let's kind of pick through this a little bit further and see what some of the key features of the game are going to be. And I think there's a lot that will be familiar to people if you've played AFL 23, especially if you've continued to play it well beyond the launch, because there's a lot to be said about the initial launch of AFL 23. And I know there's a fairly negative sentiment, I guess, around the game and how it first launched. And I think some reasonable questions to be asked about AFL 26 when it launches. I'm going to endeavour to have a chat to Ross. He'd let me know about 5 minutes before the listing went live on JB that it was about to get listed and that this was all very much alive and happening. And I'm going to look to try and chat to Ross a little bit more over the coming days and weeks and try and learn more about this game before it releases, and try and address some of those questions and concerns that people have off the back of AFL 23. But let's get into this a little bit further. Where one of the key features is Pro Team. That was, of course, a part of AFL 23 post-launch. Build your Pro Team and take on all new challenges as you rise through the ranks. Compete through the seasons to unlock exclusive rewards, upgrade your squad, showcase your skills, then take on your rivals and prove why your Pro Team stands above the rest. You've got the player career mode, which is a bit more standard. It's kind of what you expect. Well, actually, I suppose these days you expect Pro Team because we see that sort of thing occur. Ultimate Team in FIFA and EA Sports FC. We've seen equivalents in NBA 2K over the years. It's a pretty standard mode. But of course, the player career is a bit more single player and a bit more by the numbers. Step into the boots of a future star in the all-new player career mode. Live the full journey from draft day dreams to game day glory. Train hard, rise through the ranks, overcome setbacks, and celebrate your every milestone that you achieve in the AFL or AFLW. This is your story, your career, your moment. Now, for me personally, this is the mode that I'm most looking forward to. I love those sorts of campaigns where you can build your player. They spend a whole bunch of time. They eventually get drafted. They then make their way through the VFL team. They're maybe not getting a gig straight away. Then they or equivalents in other sports. They eventually debut. Maybe they only get very limited minutes, but they build it up and build it up and build it up. And there is, as the quote says, this is your story, your career, your moment. This is your story for your player that you get to build. And I really like those sorts of things that we see across lots of other games. I'm stoked to see that's what we're going to get here in the player career mode. Next up, we've got coach mode. With updated gameplay mechanics, the challenge is now even greater and the moment's even more unforgettable as you take the reins as coach, shaping your team's destiny. Manage your list with precision, nurture young talent, and guide them through the ranks. On game day, every decision counts. The pressure is on. Make the right moves, adjust your tactics, and push your team to premiership glory. And then we've got our final couple of points here. Exceptional fidelity. Of course, now we're talking about some of the visual components of it. So every AFL and AFLW has been recreated within an incredible level of detail, from their signature skills, powered by champion data, to their physical features carefully scanned with the latest photogrammetry technology. Players are brought to life like never before. Make your mark. Design and personalize your own club, players, and stadiums with the cutting-edge academy tools. Experience AFL26 from your own unique perspective and showcase your creations to the world. And that's where some of the online kind of comes into it a little bit. I, for one, am pretty happy with what I'm reading here. Now, execution is a whole other thing. I really want to hone in on exceptional fidelity, because this is always something I see in the comments when we see an AFL game or a cricket game or something that's kind of developed, like they're going for a replication of a big name sport, but the game is developed in Australia. We are not going to get the visual fidelity of an EA Sports FC or an NBA 2K, because there's just not that much money in AFL compared to all those sports. And the technology required to replicate that costs money. This is not a thing that is necessarily feasible for a big ant studios versus what you can get from Visual Concepts working on NBA 2K. It's just not realistic. So please, 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 we are going to see footage of this game in the future, no doubt about it. And I just implore you to take your time, cool your jets, and treat this game on its merits. Now, I am going to see if I can find the footage that I saw referenced on the AFL website, but for some reason I can't find it right now, and it seems to have been removed by the uploader, which would be JB Hi-Fi from the look of it. So that's why I can't find it anymore. It's been taken down from YouTube for the time being, but stay tuned, we'll see it back. What I saw was basically a 15-second clip that was Isaac Heaney taking a hanger, and it was nice to see some of the collision there. Really, the way he kind of fell over the contest, and it wasn't clean and simple and just kind of landing flat foot and starting a play. It was a real proper marking contest, what you would expect to see, with kind of a tumbling over the pack. I was all about that. I quite liked the way that was represented, but of course it was a 15-second vertical slice of a full match, which is then a full AFL26 experience as well. I don't want to get carried away by that, but it was a really nice start. So that is AFL26. Though that is the first details on the game, and I think there is some cool stuff for us to look at. I, for one, most excited about player career. Things like Pro Team, I know they have their audience. That's not really a me thing, but I think the thing that I guess gives this game a greater chance, I think, is the fact that Big Ant has learned so much from the failings and successes of AFL23. Things like Pro Mode that came after the fact, some of the weaknesses of the initial launch product, they're all going to be refined and polished here. And you would imagine we're going to get a better experience that hopefully works straight out the gate on launch day, May 8th, 2025. And that is the final part of this revelation, is that the game is coming out on May 8th, 2025. That's really soon. That's crazy soon. When I put together the video, I was speculating about it being 2 to 3 months or potentially 12 months down the road, because we know that the ratings board is pretty malleable, I suppose. So I'm stoked that it's coming really soon. and I'm keen to learn more. I'm keen to try and chat to Ross. If I can, I'll see if I can bring him on some Hoops Crew content. We'll talk more about the game in great detail, because for everyone watching today, especially if you're new to this channel and you haven't heard me talk about AFL26 or just heard me talk about video games full stop, as well as being in this footy content creation scene, I am also a games media writer and have been for more than 10 years. So I've got this beautiful sweet spot here, a vertical that I've carved out very much myself, where in this space where I can be an authority, perhaps the greatest authority on this AFL26 game and other AFL video games that come out as well, but also a massive fan of footy at the same time. Very much looking forward to sharing all my thoughts with you over the course of the next month. And then, of course, well beyond release, where we'll be talking about AFL26 in a lot more detail. Thank you, everyone, for checking out this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. All the buttons are down below. Like, share, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. We would like to see as many people as possible checking out all that we get up to. That would be hugely appreciated. Consider checking out our Patreon, where you can subscribe for 7 days for free. It's a free trial. You can get early access to our content. There's extended content, exclusives, lots of stuff for you to check out. And then if you choose to stick around, $5 or $6 for the month is all it takes to continue to get this content delivered to your inbox. If you want to touch base on social media, you'll find me at Paul James Games. The Hoops Crew is at The Hoops Crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong. Stay tuned for more on AFL 26. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later.